we were not going to let any other team beat us. We were like, we're better than everyone else. Even if we weren't, it's just that belief. That's what led to us winning. I run 4:11. It's the lowest I've ever ran since I got here. You were at the highest point, you're the UT mile school record holder and you're running 4:11. Like, it just takes a toll on you. But then that race like made me like say, you know what, I need to work. There's work for me to put in. Just 200 meters more and then the pain will end. Because then you're done and the pain is no longer there, but you lost or you didn't do as good as you wanted to. And that sometimes hurts more than the actual race. I was like, you're gonna break 4 minutes, you're gonna run 3:57. I had done the work. I believed I was gonna do it. And so it happened.
Welcome to the Winners Club podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Wilson, and today I'm here with D1 track athlete Cruz Gomez. Cruz, thanks for being here.
Of course. Pleasure.
So we're going to get into your mindset and also what it's like being a D1 athlete. But before we do that, I'd like to hear about your journey to become a D1 athlete. So where are you from and who are you as an athlete growing up?
Well, I'm from the Rio Grande Valley. I grew up in Alamo, Texas. It's a very small town down there in the valley. My, elementary, middle school coaches kept telling me like, hey, like you're pretty good at running. Because I used to love soccer and I wanted to be a pro soccer player. Obviously that didn't happen, but yeah, they kept pushing me and telling me you should do this. You could get a scholarship. And I mean, growing up, I'm a first gen, so I didn't know like other possibilities out there after high school. Like
when you first started, were you winning races off the bat? Like, were you really talented?
One of the things that kind of like made me a little bit better than other athletes was that I was very competitive, no matter what it was that I was doing. I'd get like second, right? And that just kind of like fueled me to, you know what, like what can I do to beat this other person? And then I started winning some meets, and obviously there was some talent there, but obviously also some hard work, because without hard work, talent doesn't work.
Definitely, exactly. That's good. And so you made it to become the Rio Grande Male Athlete of the Year or something like that. So, so what do you think led to you becoming that?
When I first started, it was more as to something for me. You're gonna be the greatest, and you're gonna be really good. And then as I grew older, it was like, well, there's not a lot of coverage on athletes from the Rio Grande Valley, because it's at the very like bottom of Texas. It's a border town. We literally got zero coverage, and I started seeing that. And whenever we would go to like the big meets, like here in Austin or Round Rock, or go to state meets, they would like ask me like, hey, where are you from? And I was like, the Rio Grande Valley. They're like, oh, where is that? I was like, it's very down south. And they were like by San Antonio. I was like, no, like further down, there's things like that.
Can you talk about the work ethic you had in high school? Were there times where your teammates, you might have been one of the hardest working teammates. So were there times where other people were doing other things, or maybe they didn't work as hard as you?
On Saturdays, we had long runs, and we had to meet coach at 6 a.m. in school. And sometimes it was just me, you know, and I guess that's the only thing that I can say that I was like doing more than my other teammates at the time.
During the week, it was training that your coach made y'all do, but then on the weekends it was optional.
Yeah. And basically sometimes it was just me and my coach, and you know, he'll drive me off like 10 miles out, and then drop me and then go back to school like that, you know, stuff like that. I remember those days are pretty fun.
Wow, that's fun. That's interesting.
That's pretty fun.
I did have to ask, because you do long distances. Yeah, why do you like running? Because like the sport of running is basically all pain. So why do you like running?
Number one, because I'm pretty good at it. But other than that, it's just kind of like you train right for a period of time and you hit a time, and then you can always like better that. And I think that's what makes me like it, that there's improvement. It might not be constant, but I know that at one point in time, if I keep doing it and I keep putting in the work, I'm gonna reach the goal that I want to, reach.
You can see the numbers. It goes, if you put in the work, it goes up.
It goes lower.
Yeah, so
it goes lower.
All right, so let's talk about the recruiting process. Were there other schools you were looking at, and why did you settle on UT?
I didn't know where I wanted to go my senior year. Obviously, there was quite a few schools that were like looking into recruiting me. They had sent a lot of letters. I never sent anything back because I didn't know how any of that worked. And my coach wanted me to just like figure it out on my own, just, because he's not always going to be there. He wasn't always going to be there. Figuring it out. Some coaches found my number somehow and they called me. And the first coaches that called, that wanted me to go visit their university, I just said yes. I'll go and visit the Oklahoma State coach, the Arkansas coach, UT Arlington, and then UT.
Yeah.
So those were the schools that I went and visited, just simply because the coaches did that. What's it called? I guess extra work to reach my phone number, personal phone number, call me and tell me that, hey, like, you want to come visit? We would like you to have you here. I came on my visit here and went to a football game, unlike anything I had ever seen, or experienced. The guys were really great. So yeah, I mean, I just could not pass the opportunity to come here.
And how was your transition getting here? I know there's obviously gonna be some difficulties when you first get here. So how was that first freshman year?
I did get homesick, just like any other freshman. But I knew I was here for a greater cause. My parents came here illegally to the United States, haven't been able to get their immigration status resolved. So that was hard because they couldn't come and visit like all the other parents. So that was, I guess, the toughest part, but they support me from down home.
What did you learn from your parents in that upbringing? Like, what's something, the lessons you learned just from being around them and just lessons that they've taught you?
I guess just like hard work. They're very hardworking people, and I guess that's why running works so well for me. If I work hard, I'm gonna be better. And other things is like being grateful for what you have. Those two are the main things.
Yeah, and then the hard work paid off because you did under a 4 minute mile, and then you broke. Is that the UT mile record?
It used to be the 3-2 mile record.
We'll call it. We'll say you broke the UT mile record, and you went under 4 minutes, which I think there's only a couple thousand people who can say that they've ran under 4 minutes. So, what do you think led to you running that?
Definitely the desire and the drive of wanting to achieve that. I think if you focus yourself into hitting a goal and you work hard for it and you stay true and loyal to the training and everything, I mean, you're gonna get to that point. Like, I knew when I stood in that line that at the end of the race I was gonna break 4. And I kept telling my friends, my teammates, I'm like, this weekend, like in Boston, like I'm gonna break 4. And I had gotten injured in December before that indoor season. Then when I was coming back, I was like, you're gonna break 4 minutes, you're gonna run 3:57, like you're gonna be great, like you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. And eventually it happened, I guess so, just like the believing and putting in the work combined just made it happen.
How did you develop that conviction? Like in practice, did you ever break a 4 minute mile? Or is it just like you just tell yourself these beliefs every single day, and eventually it'll catch up to you?
I think with some workouts that we used to do, like I just felt so good, and it was at that pace, that at that mile pace, and it just kind of felt so easy that I knew when it was time to go and run the full thing, it was just gonna come.
And as a team, you won the Penn relays, correct? So, what do you think led to y'all winning the Penn relays?
All those guys just were dialed in, and the video is out there, and you can just see Yassine fall, and we were just kind of like, well, like there goes that. But he came back, gave us a stick. I got it closer. I gave it to Craig. Craig came back and caught those guys, and we knew we were good, and we were not gonna let any other team beat us at that moment. At that point in time, we were like, we're better than everyone else, even if we weren't. It's just that belief that we were better than those other teams out there, and I guess that's what like led to us winning.
Is that similar thing to when you won the NCAA national championship?
That night before we were gonna run, I kept telling him, yo, we're about to win this. Like, we're literally going to win this. Like, there's no way we don't win the DMR, even though we were ranked 10, right? Rankings can be anything, but I just kept telling him, we're going to win this. It's going to be so cool. Like, when we do, me believing it, and then me going out there and telling the guys, yo, we're going to win it. Like, we don't have to be nervous. We don't have to be anything. Like, we all just have to do our best. And I mean, I guess that just kind of worked out.
Where'd you learn to develop that belief and just telling yourself all these things? throughout your career? Because it seems like it's paid off. But hey, so where'd you learn that?
Sometimes I guess I just learn on some videos that I see on
Okay.
like online or things like that.
Mhm.
David Goggins has
Yeah,
like
for
a
sure.
video,
Yeah.
has a book, right? And
Mhm.
something along the lines of saying that you don't come confident by shouting affirmations in the mirror.
Mhm.
You come confident by having a stack of proof
Mhm.
of evidence that you are who you say you are.
Mhm.
And so we had done the training.
Mhm.
That was our evidence.
Mhm.
So there's no way that we don't, achieve that goal. Obviously, like I can't say like I'm gonna win this race, I'm gonna break 4 if I didn't do the work.
Mhm.
If even if I say and I keep shouting and I keep repeating it, it's not gonna happen
Mhm.
if I didn't put the work. So I guess at that point I had done the work.
Mhm.
I believed I was gonna do it, and so it happened.
Mhm. You might not even need a certain outcome. Like if you haven't ever won a national championship, you don't need to win that to believe you can do it. As long as you've done the work and behind the scenes.
People don't just win national titles just because.
Right. Mhm.
They put in the work, they put in hours because it was a long time coming.
So that was about your stories. Now we can get into your mindset. We've kind of already gone to that, but after that, what are some things you do to take care of your mental health? And how do you deal with the highs and lows of your sport?
Obviously, whenever problems arise or happen, like every other person, I have negative thoughts,
Mhm.
and I'm like, this is probably it. Like you're not good anymore, or things like that. But then again, I come back to myself and I'm like, no, like don't listen to that. Like
Right.
you are good. You will come back, especially during injuries. When you get injured,
Yeah.
it's the worst thing that can happen because it's a tough time and it's like just a battle with yourself.
Mhm.
But I guess most of the time, what I do is just talk to myself. I'm kind of like a person that doesn't really want to talk it out to other people, just simply I guess because how I was like brought up. I guess like my dad would have problems too,
Mhm.
sometimes like he wouldn't tell us. Like I can just I knew that he had it, but he just wouldn't say,
Mhm.
to anyone, and he just like do it himself. and
Mhm.
and I mean at the end it would work out. So I guess that's why I'm kind of that same
Yeah.
way.
Do you think that you could talk to people about it a little more? Or maybe if you don't want to talk about it, then you at least maybe write it down. Like some ideas, like journal. If I'm stressed out, you journal and get it out of your head.
I started a planner of like my workouts and my
Mhm.
runs and everything. And at the end of the week, I write kind of like how I felt,
Mhm.
and just thoughts of like how the season is probably gonna go,
Yeah.
or even just thoughts about myself or
Mhm.
things like that.
Yeah.
And I guess that kind of works. That kind
Okay.
of helps too.
Yeah. And then how do you deal with negative thoughts like in the race? Like while you're in the race, you see someone ahead of you, and like your mind's telling you, "I can't make it," or "I can't do any more. I can't go any further." How do you tell? How do you? What do you tell yourself in those moments?
Well, during the race is actually pretty tough
Yeah. Yeah.
to just kind of like dig dig deep down
Mhm.
inside and tell yourself that hey, like you can still get that guy,
Mhm.
because it's so easy to somebody passes you and they're like, and you just start thinking like, oh, this is it, like
Mhm.
you can't go no more, like he's better than you, like
Mhm.
let it go.
Yeah.
But I guess it's again like you have to come back to trusting that you did the work
Mhm.
prior to that, and just like no, like I can't give up, like I gotta go.
Mhm.
And I guess that's a way that
Mhm.
I like to do it, just kind of like internal self-talk.
Yeah. What words do you tell yourself? Like maybe there's 100 meters left, and you feel so much pain, you don't think you can go all the way.
For me it's kind of like you worked so hard to get to this point, like
Mhm.
there's no way you're gonna give up right now. Or I'll tell myself like just 200 meters more and then the pain will
Right. Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
Because then you're done and the pain is no longer there,
Right.
but you lost
Right.
or you didn't do as good as you wanted to, and that sometimes hurts more than the actual race.
Yeah. It's crazy thing about like in that moment, it's the most painful thing, but then 20 seconds later, you're gonna be done.
You're
Yeah.
just done, and
Yeah.
like you don't feel that pain that you were feeling no
Mhm.
more,
Yeah.
but you have that pain of regret of like I could have done this or I could have done that, but you
Yes.
didn't, and you can't change it no more. And I guess that's what hurts.
Was there a certain race that you lost that you're like, I'm gonna use that now when I train?
Yeah, especially this year.
Mhm.
I was injured again. 2 weeks after that, we go to Boston to run the mile, and I run 4:11, slowest I've ever ran since I got here. Probably well, just a tiny bit faster than I did high school senior
Wow.
year.
Mhm.
So obviously that's hard, right?
Mhm.
Like you were at the highest point,
Mhm.
you're the UT mile school record holder
Right.
and you're running 4:11.
Wow.
Like it just takes a toll on you.
Mhm.
At that point I was like, damn, like what why, like,
Right, yeah.
why me?
Mhm,
But then that raise like made me like say, you know what, like I need to work, like
mhm,
there's work for me to put in. And
mhm,
after that I just started like again like running, more, since I didn't have that injury anymore, doing better in the workouts. Then we go back 2 weeks to Notre Dame
mhm,
to run the DMR to
mhm.
qualify.
Yeah.
The coach is like, you think you can give me a 255 to 100-meter leg?
Mhm.
And in my head I'm like, probably not. But I tell him, yes,
Yeah.
yes, I can. Because again, I'm putting in the work already.
Right.
It should come.
Mhm,
We go, we hit that 255. I gave the baton almost in last.
mhm,
I'm like, during that race, I'm thinking, we're not going to qualify because of me.
mhm,
And then I caught myself and I'm like, no, like, there's no way.
mhm.
We caught some few people at the end, get the baton, they qualified, right? And then the week after that is Big 12s.
Mhm.
Get to Big 12s, they're like, you're not running the mile, you run the K.
Mhm,
Simply because I guess I wasn't running high enough in the mile. Obviously, you run 406, you're not going to be
mhm.
nowhere near the top.
Yeah.
So run the K, and that's the best I've looked, the best I felt. I didn't win it, I got fifth, but 222 is number two all time,
Mhm.
just behind, I don't remember his name, but that record's been there since
Yeah,
1986.
okay.
I guess a lot of people don't run it, the
Yeah.
K,
Mhm.
but even then, it's still major improvement. From
Definitely.
that 411
Right.
where I felt like, you know, I was done,
Mhm.
to come back and run and get fifth, give some scoring points to, the Big 12 championships. Sadly, indoor season ended not the way like that I wanted it to end.
Yeah.
I definitely wanted to qualify in the mile on my own,
Mhm.
but that didn't happen. I guess God had different plans for
Mhm.
me. But nonetheless, I think, this is just the beginning of
Mhm.
outdoor.
Right.
For something greater outdoor.
Use the failures and everything as fuel to push you forward. Can you talk about the going through the injury process? Like what helped you get through that tough period?
What I was writing at the time where I was like coming back from injury, I'm like, I will be back. I will be back. Like, and then when things start coming like along, then I'm like, okay, like you, you're getting there. It's coming along, and it's just kind of like a puzzle. Pieces start coming together, and you start doing better, and then you start feeling better too.
What's the most pressure you felt in a race? So you've been in national championships, you've been at Penn relays. What's the most pressure you felt, and then how'd you get through it?
My first time racing indoors, the Big 12 championships,
Mm,
I just came off of running a 401 mile.
mm,
I was like ranked third. I didn't even make the final.
mm,
Just all that pressure.
mm,
I couldn't handle it. I've been better now, but it was just like so much race anxiety of like you're so like you're ranked so high,
mhm,
and that's what happens when you pay attention to rankings.
right,
It's like you're ranked so high, like you should make it, and then
mhm,
you don't end up making it. Then it's kind of like, well, we have to know that the expectation is high, and
mm,
it's a good thing that the expectations are that high.
right,
And I guess just by showing up every day,
mhm.
I guess that's how I do that.
When you're training, you think about maybe not in a negative way, but that there's expectation on you, but you use that as fuel. Like I got to put in this work.
I mean, it can go both ways, right? You're like, oh, this expectation is here, and um, it's so much. Like, either you break or
Right,
it like helps you out.
right,
Like, but I feel like, no, I can't let these people down. Like,
mhm,
they've done so much for me, and like that's what I think about sometimes. It's like I have siblings,
mhm,
so and I'm one of the. Well, I have a twin sister, and we're the oldest. And our thing has always been like we want to be role models for them,
mhm,
and so I'm like, what would my siblings think? Like I have to keep going.
mhm,
I have to show out and
mhm,
show up.
right.
So I guess that helps me.
You given some great insight so far. Now we'll get into the final five. These are the final five questions I ask every athlete. So the first one is, what's the misconception about being a D1 athlete?
That it's like easy to get to the top.
Mhm,
It's very hard. You have to work really hard. There's no shortcuts to getting there.
mhm,
You have to make sure you put in that work, that you're dedicated, that you have that discipline more
mhm,
than anything
mhm,
to do it. Like every single day, you have to be at your 100%.
mhm,
And it's tough to do that when you have class and maybe you have family issues
mhm,
or things like that you also have to
mhm.
handle. So that it's not easy to be at the highest
Right.
level.
Speaking of that, what's the worst conditioning workout of your career?
Back in the day, we used to have these 10-mile tempo runs.
Mm,
It's not that the 10-mile tempo run is bad. It was just where we were doing it. It was an 800-meter loop
Mhm.
on this soccer field,
Mhm.
and just doing what was it like 40 loops,
Yeah.
just trying to get
Mhm.
like 10 miles in. It was just the worst.
Yeah.
Not just simply conditioning part of it, but just so boring.
That was a bad memory. We'll talk about the good memory. So, what's your best memory in your career?
Definitely winning that DMR
Mhm.
title, and then winning that first ever indoor national championship with
Mhm.
UT.
Mhm.
I don't think nothing's ever gonna beat that.
Mhm.
Being the first ever, just being there and when everyone is just yelling and excited, and um, there were some older like teammates of mine that have been trying to get that trophy as a team. Because they've had individual trophies, but I guess nothing beats something like with a
Right.
team.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is great.
What's some advice you could give to a high school athlete that wants to be a college athlete, maybe break some records and win championships? What's some advice you could give to them?
If they really want it, they can achieve it just by simply, I guess, putting the work again. I
Mhm.
mean, I kept saying it, but
Yeah.
it's just you have to do it.
Mhm.
And I guess that would be my advice to them is just like believe in yourself, bet on yourself, and just keep putting in the work.
Yeah. The last question is, how do you define the word winner?
As long as you gave everything you have, because sometimes I give my best and I don't win,
Mhm.
but yet I think I can consider myself a winner
Mhm.
just for simply putting myself out there
Mhm.
and giving it a shot. As long as you can do your best and be the best that you can be, you're a winner.